Hi guys, I know I haven't made a video in a very long time, so I've been meaning to update you on what's been going on for a while now. I'd have to apologize that I don't reply to comments much anymore, but I do read them, and you guys really do influence me behind the scenes. I'm going to talk about something important today. It has to do with Asperger's, but it's in its own kind. As you could tell, the room I'm in is a little bit different. I'm normally up at school, but I'm here for the weekend taking care of my dog. My parents are away, so I'm back in town. My room has been painted, got a new bed, um, without a mattress, which is it's coming soon though. And yeah, so there's the setting change. Updates with medications. I've been getting off quite a bit. Slowly bring it down to hopefully zero, which would be great, and is my next step. I cut my mirtazapine, the one I use for sleep, in half, from 45 milligrams to 22.5 milligrams, without too much of a fuss. Got off lamotrigine, the one I use for sensory overload, completely. I wanted that out of my system. I was on 600 milligrams of that. That's like the amount they use for people with seizures, and I was not having seizures. Too much of that. So I'm still on Effexor, but I'm going to be cutting down on that soon too. I made a pact with myself when I started Effexor that I'm going to do it bead-wise. So I'll make a regime where I'm going to open up the capsules and take a single, or probably two. I don't know if it's going to be 2 or 4 beads out at a time until, you do that with each capsule. You take 4 beads out more until you get to zero. So that'll take probably 60 days or more, depending on how fast I want the increments to go down. But the fact that I plan to get off of that is a step in the right direction. Anyway, I mean, if I don't need these medications anymore, I want to at least test the waters and see, do I still need these medications? Yes, no, then chuck them. Because I don't want to have to take medication for the rest of my life. Anyway, so why the big change in everything, really? Schools and interests and outlook and confidence. So I'm gay. Just gonna say it like that. And how I got to that answer, or how I got to officially say that, is kind of a long-winded story, almost as old as the Asperger's, maybe a little more recent. So I'm going to first explain how I eventually managed to say that on camera, to the internet, to my YouTube channel. You guys saw me at the pinnacle of change. Back when I started making videos, the ball was already rolling like crazy at that point. And certainly the feedback I've gotten from the videos and the chats I've had with people from YouTube have changed my life. And it's been a huge step into expressing myself, and it's been a big step into basically freeing myself from my own rigid mind, rigid prison that I made for myself in my head. So I wanted to thank everyone who subscribed and everyone who's written comments, and that's a huge stepping stone for me. So I thought I was asexual for a very long time. And certainly that fits with the stereotype of someone on the autism spectrum. They have zero sexual appetite. Or alternatively, too much sexual appetite and they're always horny or whatever it is. But I thought it was, I was that was another tick for me with the Asperger's when it came out, like, oh, asexuality, like that's associated with it. Then then great. That's just another addition to the traits that I express or whatever it is. So it was probably in grade 6 or 7 that I started. I got so angry at the kids because of their puberty. I got so angry with puberty. Like, and the fact that now, like hitting on girls was now appropriate, and now it's subject matter to talk about between two guys. I hated that. I hated that. I didn't like change, and I didn't like that change because I wasn't with them. That wasn't my experience. I wasn't getting crushes on girls or anything like that. So it was like, why do we need to talk about that? Like, let's talk about science. Can we please talk about this new barometer I got last week? Like, why can't we talk about that? Why does it have to be, breasts and this, whatever it is, stuff that I didn't care about. And I got very angry. It was rage. I was very, very angry at my student body. And I probably lashed out at a couple of people. I hated everything that had to do with sex and any mention of sex because it wasn't in accordance with what I was experiencing. I never felt anything when I saw two people kissing, and it was always, a guy and a girl. Like romantic scenes in movies, I always wanted to skip over them. I found it such an unnecessary factor in the plot. I was, for all intents and purposes, asexual at that point. I never had crushes on anybody. But I was atypical in the asexuality because there were certain things, like for instance in health class and sex ed, I couldn't stand it, right? So I would stare at like a staple and dissociate and kind of do a little self-hypnosis thing to just totally let everything just, I'm not here, I could be in a much better place. Oh, and I could do it. My mind was like so keen on removing myself from the room. Honestly, it felt like a drug. Like I could convince myself in a hypnotic trance that could feel like I'm on E or whatever it was. Like I was far gone from the room. But at the back of my mind, when they started talking about the guy side of things, like the guy biology and physiology, stuff like that, and like the secondary sexual characteristics, I cued in on it. So like I ignored everything else, but when they were talking about the male side, I was like, I expressed kind of an interest. I still stared at that staple, I was still like, but I was staring and then absorbing. My brain chose to absorb that information and ignore the rest. Anyway, so I considered myself asexual. I was out to my therapist as asexual up till a couple of months ago. Even my therapist was left in the dark about me actually being gay. It was, for me, it was all or none, because I knew as soon as I got a taste of one person knowing, I knew at that point everything is going to fall into place and the ball is going to start rolling. And for me, everything's either 100% or 0%. I'm 100% interested in something, or I don't give two shits about something. Same with letting people know about things. Either everyone knows about something, or nobody knows about it, including my therapist, including the person that didn't have any ties with my parents. That was completely, the sessions were completely there for me to reflect and to say what's going on in my mind. Even my therapist was left completely in the dark from it. Of course, I told him, I think I'm asexual at the beginning. I don't experience any sexual attraction. Blah, 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 blah. Never a crush, never this. I had a whole story, And even he went along with that. He's like, oh, well, once again, he's like, oh, it makes sense in light of the Asperger's, it kind of makes sense. So he left it at that, really. But after I was diagnosed, and I started making the videos, and I started telling people about it, I got it wasn't like it wasn't like a mania, but it was a hyper. It was a I got a charge from it. I got telling people about my experiences was like crack. Like it was. I was so eager to tell my friends, and I could talk on and on about these things, about my insights for so long, and it felt so good, and it felt so right, and it was like I was being freed from my mind's, it was like get out of jail free card, telling someone about the diagnosis. And when I got that taste for freedom, that taste of being accepted and understood, I knew the next step would have to be coming out. If I hadn't been diagnosed, I can guarantee you I would not be out of the closet yet. Um, so that's why I said at the beginning of the video, the influence that you guys had on me. You guys witnessed basically, yeah, start the change, the start of change at least. Anyway, so I told my therapist just it actually started with uh, for the sake of anonymity, I'm not going to mention a specific YouTuber, but you're probably out there watching this video, and I can't thank you enough. This YouTuber was the the first. He was basically my outlet for the sexual stuff, for the sexual problems and the sexual confusion. He was my outlet for that, and our conversations were like so good, like they were so like it was. I've never had conversations like that with someone about those things before. So he was like my savior. He was really like the person that really brought me, that really just advanced, yeah, like it advanced my thinking, and it got things moving finally. So after speaking for a couple of weeks with this YouTuber, chatting back and forth, I told my therapist about it, and I told my, basically this YouTuber got the ball rolling so much that I came out to my therapist, and I he was very surprised, you know. But so after a week with this, I emailed him saying I want to come up to my parents, and from his point of view, here he has someone who is just starting to get in touch with their sexuality. There's a lot where there's a lot of confusion, and he wants to come out to his parents within a week of discovering this. So this set up red flags for him, and I don't blame him. But the thing was, this wasn't new for me. This had been with me for so long, this long kept secret, that it wasn't me discovering my sexuality. This was time to just say, yeah, this was go time for me, right? And I needed to come out to my parents now, because I've been waiting for so long now, right? So for him, it's like, oh wait, whoa, this is too new. You just realized this a week ago, right? But no, this was planned for so long, um, and I'm like, I tell him, I say that, like, I don't know if I'm gonna have this delusion. I don't know if I'm gonna have this kind of confidence that everything's gonna be okay when I tell them in a week or in a month or whenever, and he's like, fine, if you feel comfortable, then go for it, but proceed with caution. So the first thing I did was tell my siblings. Not even my siblings knew, and they were accepting right away. And I don't know. My brother goes to dental school in New York, and I told him first. He told my sister, which was fine, and they wanted to come in from New York to do this kind of intervention thing with my parents. That touches me so much now, that the fact that he would fly from New York here just to sit my parents down and go, go at it with them. But that means you'd need a plan to come here, and I was kind of impatient. And I thought about it for a couple of days, and I said, you know what? I think it'd be better for me one-on-one with my parents to come out to my parents one-on-one rather than have this intervention style thing, which was going to freak them out a lot more and raise the significance of this a lot more. I was so I decided to go. I was like texting my brother. I said, okay, I'm going to do it now, and my parents were on the porch, and he's like, okay, go for it. So I basically, I didn't beat around the bush at all. I just went and sat down with them and said, I'm gay. Do you still love me? Or I prefaced it, will you love me no matter what? I watched a coming out video with with an American soldier. I don't know, it was really touching. So I didn't take pointers from the video, but I thought that was kind of a smart start to open it, and they were very surprised. But then they said, of course we still love you. Like, why didn't you tell us sooner? And I wasn't. When they said, why didn't you tell us sooner? It was like every time my parents talked about homosexuality, I would cue in very, like I acted like it was just passing over me, but all their opinions really stuck, and I started building up a list or building up an idea of their views of homosexuality, and it scared me that this thing that I built up, but I didn't realize that my parents' love for me as a person, as their son, was stronger than some societal stereotype they picked up. And it's hard it was hard for me to think otherwise, to think that they would be as accepting as they were. I don't know. It still surprises me, the fact that they accept me for it. And trust me, they're making big steps, bigger than I ever thought they would. I'm seeing someone. He's really great. I've been seeing him for 5 months now or so. I met up in Hamilton, where I go to school. I hadn't been seeing anybody at the time when I told them. So, I'm getting them more and more used to, like I'm saying his name a lot more in conversation, this and this. I went to see his family, I told them that, kind of like, like getting things go, like integrating, him into their views. It's all new for them, but I kind of understand where they're coming from, and I'm not forcing it down their throat or anything. I'm trying to acclimate them to the idea of it, and it's been amazing. I mean, they're up for meeting him, and I don't know. It could only get better from there. I mean, if they open their mind that much to that, then it's only improvements from here. And so yeah, that's where things are. And I was just wrong about how people were going to react in so many ways. I beat myself up for it. Like what I was saying with the hatred before. I don't know if if it was an Asperger's thing or not, but my mind is so strong, and I compartmentalize things so strongly. Like I never really did have a crush on a guy at school because I wouldn't let myself. I never had fantasy. I never had anything. It was like I was my own abuser. It was like, I mean, it's lame to say that I suffered from abuse, but really, I was battling against my own mind. I made myself sick sometimes. I'm just convincing myself with certain things and certain beliefs, and and it's been such a relief to realize, that I was wrong in so many of the predictions that I've made in the past, and now my relationship with my siblings, it's like I feel so much more human. You know, what I the Asperger's diagnosis wasn't it wasn't a technique that I was going to use to push myself further into the closet and say I have Asperger's, therefore I'm asexual. My only interests are scientific pursuits and stuff like that. That wasn't the purpose of getting diagnosed so soon. It was a taste of freedom. It was a taste for freedom, and I liked it so much that I knew it was incomplete without revealing my sexuality. And now I revealed big time. Obviously, coming out to the internet is the biggest thing you could do, I guess. Not even my extended family still doesn't know. So if they're watching this video, well, now they know. Um, I still have a couple of friends that don't know. I choose which friends to tell. Most of my friends are very open, like that. But a couple aren't, and I haven't told them. But if they watch this, then they'll know. And whatever happens, happens. Honestly, either you accept me or you don't. Um, Me and my partner were discussing what's going to happen to the subscriber count. Am I going to get more subscribers? Am I going to get less subscribers? Um, I'll see what happens. Whatever happens, happens. I feel like my channel attracts a certain kind of audience since the subject matter is so specific. Um, that my channel doesn't really cater to the general public, so I might not see such a big shift in view count. And anyway, so whatever happens, happens. But I just wanted to let you guys know what's been going on, because my life has changed completely around, and I've been thinking about making a coming out video for quite a long time now. And I just decided today to take the plunge. There are a couple of other channels out there with people who have Asperger's and are gay, and I have been watching a couple of their videos, but decided I would add to the bunch. And yeah, so that's basically what's been happening with me.